Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world as you're watching this. Welcome to Books, Brews and Other Awesome Things. I'm Tanya, and today I'm going to talk to you about the teas that I drank in August and what I thought of them. And to help me with this, I have the tea journal that I have been keeping. One of my passions outside of books and tea is planners, paper planners. So I've been using planning as a creative outlet for, I think it was May 2017, so almost over 3 years now, in fact. And one of the companies that I tend to use the most for my planner supplies is Happy Planner. And this is one of their mini happy notes that I have taken and customized to my needs. I've added bigger discs to it, added a whole load of filler paper. The advantage of these things is that they're what's called disc bound, which means that you can take pages out, put them back in, move them around. And I thought that would be really ideal for a tea journal because I want to be able to organize the teas in here. You can see across the top I've got tabs, and those are for fruit teas, herbal teas, green teas, rooibos and black teas. But within those categories, I want to be able to organize them so that when I'm looking for a specific tea later on, I can find it, assuming I know its name and the brand. And what I'm doing is organizing all the teas within those tabs by brand and then just alphabetically. You can tell I used to work in a library, right? Each time I try a new tea, or at least once a day anyway, I am trying to write it up in here. So as I'm going through the empties, which I have kept in my little box here, which was a candle at one point. Sorry, it contained a candle at one point. It was not a candle at one point, Tanya. This is a box, not a candle. It now contains the empties for the teas that I have tried over August, minus one, which is a black tea. Now, something to understand about me is that before I started recording the teas that I tried and liked or didn't like, depending, although I had a really big, well, I thought it was really big till I started watching TeaTube, but I had a big tea stash. I only ever had one tea, maybe two open at the same time. Everything else just kind of sat in a cupboard unopened until I got to it. What I'm trying to do now is drink, I believe it's called a sip down. So I'm trying to do a sip down on a lot of the stuff in my stash. And I finished off one tea in August, which was Coffee and Tea Lovers Wild Cherry Black Tea. I suspect they've rebranded somebody else's because I've tried the same wild cherry through Teetotal and I think one other company in New Zealand. I have a feeling that the norm for a lot of the tea stores over here is to import the flavoured teas in bulk and then just repackage in their own branding. I may be wrong about this. I don't know the ins and outs of the tea industry in New Zealand, but that's my suspicion, just based on the fact that some of the flavours are exactly the same with exactly the same descriptions. So, with my trusty tea journal, let's see what I have tried over August. Aside from the wild cherry, which I've just mentioned, I don't have a label or an anything for that. So the first thing in here is Stir Tea's green tea with lemon. Now, I mentioned in the last video I recorded, which may or may not have gone up yet, I'm not sure which order I'm putting these up in, that I've had a bit of a kind of hit and miss relationship with green teas in the past. I've tended to default to black teas. Those are my favourites. I drink them with milk and sugar or milk and sweetener of some sort. I actually have a whole load of things that I use for sweetening, and some of them seem really weird to people who don't know me. Some of them seem really weird to people who do know me. But one of the reasons that I have had an issue with green teas in the past is that they've often come out bitter. It wasn't until I started watching TeaTube that I realised they're probably coming out bitter because I'm making them wrong. I've always just done them with water that's fresh off the boil. I've discovered recently that you're meant to do it with 80-degree water, 80 degrees Celsius anyway. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. We use metric here, so I think in metric. What I did with this one was to make it with water that had come off the boil. I left it for a few minutes at least before I did the tea. The other thing is that I didn't realise that you have to steep green tea for far less time than you did for black tea. So not surprisingly, I ended up with bitter green tea, and I thought I didn't like green tea. I decided that since I had this sample with, I don't know when I ordered my stir tea, but it would have been at least a few years ago, so this has been hanging around in my stash for a few years. I made it with water that was off the boil, and I brewed it for 2.5 minutes, and it was actually quite pleasant. Let me just check, consult my tea journal to see what I said about it. I said that I could smell the lemon in it when I made it up. Or actually, sorry, I could smell the lemon in it when I opened the pack, so I could smell it while the leaves were still dry. But then when I made it up, it was much less lemony. And once it had brewed for that 3 minutes, it was there, but it wasn't that strong. The colour was a kind of a pale straw. And it was actually really pleasant. It was quite mild. The lemon was stronger in the taste than it was in the smell. And the green tea was really mellow with no bitterness. So who knew? Making it up according to the instructions makes it taste better. Shock and surprise. The second one that I tried was the Tulsi Masala chai. I have talked about this a little bit already in the Organic India haul video that I did. Basically, I made this up as I make most black teas, which is I brew it for as long as I need to, basically as long as it takes on the bench. Once it's made, I add sweetener, usually about half a teaspoon for a giant mug. I don't have my mug handy, but when I drink black tea, I do not drink it in a delicate little cup. I drink it in a big tea mug. No doubt that will feature in another video, that tea mug. So I make it up in that mug. I add half a teaspoon of whatever I'm using to sweeten it, and I add some milk. And what I found with this one was, it was okay. It was pleasant. It was, the chai taste is very, very mild. It's there. You kind of know that it's not just black tea on its own, but also I've tasted chais that are much more spicy, much more aromatic. That one's just a smooth, mellow black tea with a hint of spice. And if that's what you're looking for, you'll probably enjoy it. I'd happily drink that if somebody put it in front of me, but it's not one that I will go out and buy again because I've tasted black teas that I like more and I've tasted chais that I like more. So, The third one was this Pukka, I'm not quite sure how you say it, Pleasure Organic Herbal Tea. And this is a chocolate spice one. For this one, it's described as a luxurious organic chocolatey herb tea with a rich dark blend of cocoa, chicory, and sweet cinnamon. And it's organic licorice, cocoa, cinnamon, cardamom, chicory, and fennel. So I remember buying this many, many moons ago. I honestly couldn't tell you how old it is, but I suspect it's one of the ones that's more than 10 years old. Let me just find what I wrote about it. I think I used to drink this one with milk, but because I'm trying to try different herb teas now the way they're meant to be drunk, I didn't put milk in this one. And the scent was a little sweet and a little cocoa-y. It sort of reminded me of super sweet milk chocolate, which is not actually my preference. I like dark chocolate. I mentioned it was a little cinnamony and it had a definite undertone of licorice in the scent. The taste, however, I found was mostly licorice, and it had just a hint of cocoa and cinnamon. So if that's a blend, if that sounds good to you, if you like licorice tea and you like that kind of just a hint of cocoa and cinnamon in there, this might be a UT. For me, it was too sweet. I don't mind licorice tea, but it's not something I always reach for. So this is not one I think I'll get again. The next one I have is, this was a box that I finally finished off and took out of my stash, yay! So this was the Dilmah, sorry I was covering the brand name there, let's try that again. The Dilmah Rooibos with cinnamon, turmeric, ginger and nutmeg. And they describe it as aromatic with a fusion of, aromatic and a rich fusion of spice. And yeah, I think that pretty much describes it. It was a pleasant drink. It's probably the first Rooibos that I've started drinking without milk, because I used to put milk in anything that didn't actively have citric acid in it. So anything that wouldn't curdle the milk, I'd put milk in. And I'm trying now to get out of that habit and just put milk in the black teas and have everything else without it. So I didn't get a super spicy, it sounds like it should taste like chai, and it didn't. But it had a pleasant, mellow Rooibos taste. It was quite a yellowy colour, which of course was the turmeric. It's one that, again, I would drink if it were in front of me, but it's not one that I'd seek out again. I probably wouldn't buy this, even though it has the advantage that it's really easy to get here because it's available in supermarkets. This is I talked about this one in the Organic India haul video. This is the tea bag that started it all, or at least one of the tea bags that started it all. I bought these tea bags, these Tulsi, which is Indian holy basil, and Gotu Kola tea bags. I don't know when I bought them. Honestly, they have probably been in my stash for more than 10 years. I kid you not, I've not opened that box in forever. And I decided I wanted to start drinking through them, through what was in my stash, and I found these, and it was like, I remember I used to really like Tulsi tea. If you've never tried Tulsi, although it's called holy basil, I don't think it's related. I can't see the name, the botanical name of the Tulsi in here. Editing Tanya, what is the botanical name of holy basil, and is it actually related to basil? Editing Tanya will tell you that. Regardless, it does have a taste that's a little bit like basil. It reminds me of basil, but it's not quite. It's sort of slightly savoury, slightly spicy, and it makes a really good tea. And I remember I loved the original Tulsi with no added, just pure Tulsi. And this was the second one that I got, the Tulsi with Gotu Kola. And I didn't like it quite as much, which is probably why I still have several tea bags from that time. But it's still pleasant, and when I tried it, it was like, oh yeah, I used to really like this. I wonder if this company is still in business. They were. I placed an order with them, and so I received not only everything I ordered, but a bunch of, handfuls of samples as well. And that's what made me think about, maybe I should review these on TeaTube. Maybe I should create a TeaTube. And here we are. The final one that I'm going to talk through is Tulsi Peppermint. And this one, I was hoping for good things for. I'm not always a fan of peppermint tea. It can be done really well. It can also be done really not well. And apparently I did not write it up. I see no Tulsi Peppermint. That's very sad. Nope, there is no Tulsi Peppermint in there, I'm afraid. So I'm going to have to go from memory about what I thought of it. I remember really liking it, to be honest. I was hoping for good things, and I got good things. It's sweet. I think from memory it has some licorice in the mix. Certainly it's something to sweeten it beyond just the Tulsi and the peppermint. And it just I had it after a bit of a heavy meal as a digestive, and it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed. It was relaxing but also reviving. The peppermint was just the right level. It wasn't super hit me over the head with the strong peppermint flavour, but also not too subtle to taste. It's one that I'm probably going to get again because I really, really liked it. So those are the teas that I had over August. Well, those are the ones that I finished over August. I have tried others. There's quite a few in this tea journal that I haven't gone through, and I will talk about them when I get to the September wrap-up. So there you have it. Those are the teas that I tried and finished over the August period. What teas have you tried lately, and what did you think of them? Did they deliver on their promise? Did you enjoy them? Would you buy them again? Let me know in the comments below. what teas you've been enjoying, and if you have any comments, suggestions or questions, please put them in the comments section too. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you enjoyed it, so that you can get more awesomeness just like it. And I will see you next time in a new video. Bye now.